In the cold darkness of the late 1940s, in a hidden corner of St. Louis, Missouri, a horrifying story began. A story so chilling that even the bravest souls would shudder upon hearing it. This is the story of Roland Doe, or as some whispered, Robbie Mannheim. A 14-year-old boy with deep, shadowed eyes that seemed to harbor secrets not meant for this world. He was not Regan McNeil, the 12-year-old girl from The Exorcist, whose plight gripped millions of Americans with trembling hearts. No, the real story was darker, more terrifying, and so steeped in the supernatural that it left people wondering, is evil truly lurking among us? Imagine an old, creaking house, where the flickering lights seemed to fight desperately against the shadows crawling from every corner. Roland, a boy with messy hair and a faint, distant smile, was not an ordinary child. Those who knew him, friends, neighbors, would speak of him with uneasy tones. There was always something unsettling about him. Not because he was mischievous or disruptive. No, it was something else. A strange energy clung to him, like a cold wind constantly swirling around his presence. They said he struggled to focus, his mind seemingly pulled into some invisible realm, where ghostly whispers echoed. He wasn't a bad kid, they said, but there was something wrong. While The Exorcist tells the tale of Regan, a girl possessed by the ancient demon Pazuzu, or as she eerily referred to him, Captain Howdy, Roland was a living puzzle. He was not simply the victim of a single-named demon. No, whatever hid inside Roland seemed like an army of darkness, a force far beyond human comprehension. The film simplified it all, turning it into a psychological drama under the bright glare of Hollywood lights. But the truth? The truth was a labyrinth of terror, where every step could lead you closer to the abyss. Roland's true identity remained buried for over 7 decades, as if darkness itself had thrown a veil over it. Only in 2021, when publications like Skeptical Inquirer and The Guardian dared to dig deeper, did the name Ronald Edwin Hunkeler surface in whispers. Ronald, a seemingly ordinary name, but behind it hid a story that could freeze the blood in your veins. Leaked reports from tightly locked Roman Catholic archives, sealed as if guarding a gate to hell, revealed that Ronald's life after the exorcisms was far from peaceful. Had he truly escaped the clutches of evil, or merely hidden a more horrifying truth? Imagine living in that era, when news of a demon-possessed boy spread only through hushed voices in church, through the worried glances of neighbors. There was no internet, no television dramatizing the horrors, only whispered stories by the fireplace, where the trembling voice of the storyteller made you too afraid to even glance out the window. Roland Doe was not just a boy, he became a symbol of primal fear, of the belief that evil not only existed but could seize the soul of a child. And as you listen to this story, whether at 55 or 65, as memories of a simpler yet eerier time flood back, can you truly be sure that evil isn't standing right behind you in the darkness of this very room? Under the dim lights of Georgetown streets in Washington, D.C., where old houses stood silently as if guarding dreadful secrets, The Exorcist drew viewers into a world of modern terror. The film, set in the 1970s, transformed this historic neighborhood into the stage for a battle against the demon Pazuzu. But step away from Hollywood's dazzling lights, and into the cold, grim reality where the true story of Roland Doe unfolded, not in Georgetown, but primarily in St. Louis, Missouri, a city heavy with an air of unease. Picture an old hospital, where the sharp scent of antiseptic mingled with whispered prayers. This was Georgetown University Hospital, where one of Roland's exorcisms took place. Unlike the film, where Regan's medical tests were conducted in modern labs, Roland's real story began in a setting far bleaker. In 1949, as cold winds swept through St. Louis, Roland was brought to the hospital, his body trembling not from fever, but from something evil. The priests would later recount that he was not merely a patient, he was a battlefield for an invisible war. In The Exorcist, only 2 priests, Father Damien Carras and Father Lancaster Marin, confronted the demon in a single dramatic exorcism, holding audiences in breathless suspense. But the reality? Reality was a grueling series of rituals, involving 5 different priests, each carrying their own fears and faith into the fray. Father Edward Hughes, the first to confront Roland at Georgetown, witnessed things that left him forever changed. In St. Louis, Father Raymond Bishop and Father William Bowdern took the lead, aided by Father Walter Halloran and Father William Van Roo. 5 men, 5 souls, standing against a force they believed had crawled out of hell itself. The horrifying signs witnessed in real life went far beyond cinematic imagination. While the film hinted at a single demon, Pazuzu, the priests recorded a chilling detail. A mysterious X carved onto Roland's stomach, as if etched by an invisible hand. They believed it to be a sign. The mark of 10 demons, an army of darkness fighting for the boy's soul. Words like spite and hell were also said to appear on his body, as if cursed into existence by blood. Each exorcism was a battle, not only for Roland, but for the very sanity and faith of the priests themselves. At the Election Brothers Hospital in St. Louis, where Roland was moved after Georgetown, a fortress of thick walls kept out curious eyes. Here, inside a locked room of the psychiatric ward, the priests waged their final struggle to save the boy's soul. There were no stage lights, no scripted drama, only the trembling prayers of desperate men, and the screams of a boy torn between the light and the darkness. Darkness cloaks the cold room of a Georgetown home, the setting where the exorcist reaches its terrifying climax. The final exorcism saves Reagan McNeil, but at a terrible cost. The lives of 2 brave priests. Father Lancaster Marin collapses from his frail heart, and Father Damien Karras, in a desperate act, invites the demon into his own body before hurling himself through the window, falling to his death below. That scene, tragic and haunting, etched itself into the memory of every viewer. But step away from Hollywood stage lights, and return to the bleak reality of Roland Doe, where truth is not blazing and theatrical, but murky, like mist drifting over an old graveyard. In the true story, no priest fell. 5 men, Father Edward Hughes, Father Raymond Bishop, Father William Bowdern, Father Walter Halloran, and Father William Van Roo, all survived their confrontations with what they believed to be demonic forces. They didn't just survive, they lived long lives, carrying the chilling memories of long nights battling the darkness. Father Bishop, the first to pass away in 1978, lived to the age of 72. Father Halloran, the last of the 5, died in 2005, at the age of 83. It was Father Bishop's journal, passed down like a grim gospel, that unveiled this story to the world, making people shudder and ask, what really happened to Roland Doe? The truth remains a mystery, hovering somewhere between faith and skepticism. In The Exorcist, there is no room for doubt. The demon is real. The exorcism is absolute. But Roland's story is far more complicated. Some religious scholars, like Terry Cooper and Cindy Epperson, stand firm in their belief that the boy was possessed by a supernatural force. Others, guided by science and reason, believe Roland was simply a troubled child, his behaviors better explained by mental illness than demons. Researcher Mark Opsasnik went further still, debunking a crucial claim. There is no evidence Father Hughes ever performed an exorcism at Georgetown University Hospital. So what happened? Was it a miracle cure? Or a story carefully woven by fear? The tale of Roland Doe leaves us with an unanswered question. Do you dare believe in evil? With 48 reported witnesses, who claimed to see strange phenomena, from the boy's trembling body, to the mysterious markings on his skin, this case is not easily dismissed. But without a Reagan to testify, without a Karras or Marin to sacrifice themselves, all that remains is the silence of priests long gone. We are left alone, with our own fear. Roland, whether possessed or simply a lost soul, has become a symbol of a terrifying truth. Evil, whether demonic or born in the shadowed corners of the mind, is always lurking. And as you sit there, in the stillness of your room, do you hear a whisper in the dark? Or is it only the wind slipping through the cracks in your door?